scary movie.
That's ironic.
I'll be first.
I know, yeah. I'm just like, oh, whatever. Like murder ones, I don't know. We watched it all.
I'm more of a paranormal.
Paranormal gets me too, though. Like I remember vividly as a child, really believing in aliens,
Paranormal stuff.
and like knowing that I was gonna
You
get.
can't see it. How are you supposed to hide from it? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Did you ever
Getting dragged down the hallway? No.
Did you ever watch the movie It Follows?
Oh God.
That's a, is that the STD one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen that.
Good one. Creep is a really good scary movie. That's on Netflix if you're interested.
Yeah.
Creep.
Yeah.
Yep. Not in a gory way. Well, the ending though.
I don't like the movie Hush. The movie
Silence
Hush
of the
was not
Lambs.
worth it.
Hush. I like Hush.
I liked it, but I wanted the main character to die.
Has anyone seen Hereditary? That's another good scary one.
I never heard names of
Witch.
I never.
Amazon.
The only way that you can watch Children in the Corn is right outside.
Oh,
Field, outside.
Children in the Corn is eyewash. That's no biggie. All right.
It scared the world out of Mariah because there was wolves in the cornfield, so it was wrestling because
Yeah.
of that.
Well, Signs. When I was a kid, grew up around a cornfield.
Oh, I hate
And-
signs.
yeah. So
Oh,
anytime you heard like, ah, God dang it.
Did you wear the Creepers?
Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, well, Amber and I would make jokes now because I always leave half empty glasses of water all over the place because I drink a bunch of water. She's like, Corey, come on, pick up your water. I'm like, no, this is for the alien invasion. This is self-defense in the house. For those of you who don't know, water kills aliens in science, obviously. All right, obviously. Okay, so you have your notebooks out. You wrote down some fun sentences yesterday. Those of you who were not here yesterday, you are going to need to crank out 6 sentences. One sentence needs to have an intro phrase. You have coordinated conjunction, a list, a colon, semicolon, and a combination of 3.
What if I just put them all in
So-
one?
Yeah, if you do all of this in one sentence, you're fine.
Wait, you do each
You
of
do
those
all of that in
individually
one
and then
sentence,
combine
it'd
them
be
all.
like mad.
That's a run-on set.
It would not be a run-on sentence. Here, I'll do it all in one sentence right now.
Even the first 3.
Even though Alex Nelson thinks it's impossible, comma, he could create a sentence that has all this stuff, comma, and that would be a demonstration of his writing prowess, intellectual capability, and what's the third item on my list? Prowess, intellectual capability, and soft skills. Colon, the ability to get things done even though the directions aren't clear. Semicolon. It would also be a demonstration of his writing center wizardry, period.
Wow.
So there we go. Just did it all in
That was
one.
good.
And there
Now
you go.
nobody's
Not
allowed to eat.
a run on Mr. Erickson. So
You did the 3 other ones.
well, it would still not be a run on. I just go comma and, boom. Here. Or comma and intro phrase word, and my intro phrase, and my sentence with a list. Boom. I'm good to go. All right.
So it's a list within a list.
A list within a list. And we'll learn how to use a dash later.
Whoa.
Which really
Oh my God.
That when we
I
start
don't
getting
know if
dashes.
this is
We get to use M dash.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I'm
All right, so
happy.
anywho, you have these sentences about the Gladwell summary about why people donate to rich people colleges. And just class generally, what would you say is the main idea of Gladwell's argument in that last one that we listened to?
People are idiots for donating to the rich.
And why are people idiots for donating to rich people?
Because it doesn't help anybody.
Why don't rich people,
It furthers the gap between the rich people and the not rich.
and how is the gap, why is the gap being furthered? Because rich people already have what?
Money.
And what?
Let's donate
Tell me
$1
about endowments and how endowments work.
Ooh, if you have more money,
Making machines.
It's money making money, right?
Yeah.
So if rich college already has a substantial endowment, just by existing, they're going to make buku bucks each year, right? Okay. And so you would be a fool to donate to a rich college. You get more bang for your buck. Where? Yeah, literally anywhere else. Okay. Now, what we need to start thinking about is how do these 3 episodes work together to make a singular point? And when you're articulating that singular point, how can that singular point be expressed using information from all 3 of those episodes? So what I want you to do now is just sit with the people who are sitting next to you, and I want you to pretend like you are Malcolm Gladwell, and you have gone on this journey. You've created podcast episode 1, 2, and 3. Carlos doesn't remember food fight and rich people. And you sit down and you need to write a paper, an argumentative essay based on your learnings from your podcast experience. What would be the thesis statement for your argumentative essay that would encompass lessons learned from podcast 1, 2, and 3? So you're just coming up with a thesis statement right now. Your thesis statement can be robust. Don't be afraid to play around with any or all of these things, although that would kind of be insane to put them all in a thesis statement right now. And in about 5 minutes time, I'm going to ask that we come back together and share these bad mamma jammas. So you have 5 minutes to come up with an interesting thesis statement that encompasses the information from all 3 of these podcasts. Ready, set, go.
We need a trio.
It's a trio.
Well.
I created one already, but I don't know exactly.
We can rewrite the other one because
All 3 together.
whatever.
Are
So
about problems
Folly.
with America's economy and education. How it's solved.
lack of financial aid.
We gotta make that sound.
Unsolvable problem and lack of barriers to it.
Ability
Yeah,
to.
for like use, I know, because I can totally spell I should change that. Change that.
I had a Carlos.
This is like the progress, yeah, like, because he doesn't
I mean, it's not the
include what the office statistics about these colleges include.
Yeah.
What
Yeah,
they are.
economics of it.
I mean,
How do we go for that?
it's like, you guys inevitably are gonna be capitalizing on by assisting those colleges that are.
Malcolm Gladwell's 3-part
Food,
But
fishy.
that implies more
on
on
revisionist history.
that really. that would go
This summarizes
I'm just
very large problems in America. Capitalization rates and
And the
Central idea.
So Malcolm Gladwell's revision of history through part series.
major problems.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that, but I didn't
Ever
want to.
deteriorating
Take
ability
the advantage here
to
to
capitalize on America's ever deteriorating education system.
half-assed. Something that applies to capitalization of talent too.
It's not practice.
And how to solve those problems. Basically,
Okay.
basically what we need.
But that's what we'll do.
Deteriorating education system.
How to turn it around.
How simple.
As long as you pitch the ball
Their
ahead.
solutions are.
Something that encompasses all of the podcast we listen to. Carl says so basically, it's a series. The whole series that we listen to.
Okay, but then like what's the deterioration?
So central idea.
2 minutes.
Americans.
Okay, we need to use a
everyone
comma,
can
but do we need to use an interface? Does that comma be counted as the interface comma?
What's that?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I wrote this down because I heard it somewhere. Society distributes talent evenly without. Oh, wait, no.
There's
So
probably
I wrote that down. So
education.
I don't know where I heard it. If ever needed it.
Good.
Well, like,
That was kind of what I.
what does the gap between?
All right, As groups are wrapping up, I'm gonna throw one more note of caution into the air. When you're coming up with Gladwell's argumentative point that he's trying to make in his thesis statement, it can't just be that things are bad or that things are wrong. There also needs to be something in there about how to fix it. I would imagine many of your thesis statements at first blush would all be about how the system is rigged, man. Did anybody write a thesis that has a proposed solution or an idea for how to fix the system, man?
That part.
No, man.
No, man. Okay. All right.
We said the
So
word solution.
in the
We said
in
the
these,
solutions.
I'm gonna throw out 2 more minutes. Okay. Don't be afraid to use any of these jams to add solution to problem. Ready, set, go.
The ever-increasing gap which suppresses those with true intelligence that is pushing up. We've been given
Maybe you could set up, just say, highlighting failure, you could say like, better utilization.
I'm not reading all of that.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Oh.
That's my first one.
Yeah.
In
the half left.
Start from there.
Despite their intellectual capacity. That was my first one, but that doesn't say anything about solutions. And then what we've got is a Malcolm Gladwell's revision of history 3-part series.
Nah.
He describes some problems in America's ever-deteriorating education system. Okay, so those who have the intellectual ability to have the financial.
Okay, are we still gonna throw solutions in there? He described
He said that like one of those.
going into those poor schools, don't come to schools that don't have grades. And I don't remember what it's called.
Some older solutions, the solutions of
That was an aggressive itch.
transferring
Really thick hair.
resources.
Describes how simple it would be to transfer resources from these rich schools into. What, is that right?
Because in slide and the second one,
We talked about ones and two, but the first one. we didn't talk about one. Yeah, that's why I said talent. Capitalization.
Okay, and Malcolm Gladwell's revision of history.
Should I just say instead of just utilization, distribution?
No, because solutions of transferring resources.
Yeah, but I don't want to
Okay.
throw in a bunch of patients in there. 'Cause they already have capitalization.
It's probably terrible. I tried making them use all of them. Okay, the bottom one.
Pulled out the end stuff.
Or should we say instead of transferring, redistributing? Redistributing.
It's good until the butt colon. Great use of the dash.
So
Does anybody need more time?
Yes, yes, please.
30 more seconds.
Okay, so in Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History through Part Series, he describes some problems that are
I shall change the end.
solutions of redistributing resources are to help those who have the intellectual ability but not the financial ability to succeed. Pretty much the only solution he like talked about was like how you can change those resources so that like there's more resources available, like the air guys and kids who need help.
Yeah.
And then there's like the space and stuff and the privileges and like, the other luxuries that schools like Vassar need to
Yeah.
keep the resources kind of encompasses it all, but like we have to.
Yeah, it's a big umbrella. It is an umbrella.
All right, let's just cruise around the room for a moment and listen to what we came up with. Who would like to start? Jeff.
While many people are fortunate enough to afford and attend high-class colleges with excellent education, there are many people in the world who can qualify and attend those colleges but are not given the opportunity due to the lack of funds for the underprivileged, which can be fixed by the wealthier providing to help those in need.
Okay, so yeah, that would encompass the Carlos doesn't remember stuff. That would encompass the, or a lot of, I would say like the first 2/3 of your sentence are like Carlos doesn't remember it, articulating that problem. And the last third was how do you fix it? The money's available, right? That's kind of generally how these 3 episodes fit together. Episode 1, here's this problem. Carlos doesn't remember. We have America not capitalizing on its talent. Episode 2, well, how do we start to fix that problem? Well, it tells you the story of Bowdoin and Vassar. Vassar doing this, Bowdoin doing that. So depending on how a college allocates its resources, that's how it can help meet the needs of the most needy. Now, what's the problem though? That's kind of like featured in episode 2. This comes down to what? What? What's the sign language for?
Money.
Money. It comes down to money. Yeah, Malcolm, you're right. This would be great. However, we have money crunches, right? And what college had the money crunch in episode 2? Vassar. They were desperate, in need of every single one of those full-paying students to make magic happen. So we can't make money out of thin air, can we?
No.
Unless we get it from Princeton.
Yes.
Yeah. These guys are making money out of thin air all the time. And not just tiny sums of money. How much money are these guys making out of thin air?
Mahogany, wood, and gold stairs.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Billions of dollars. How much? Billions of dollars.
Oh, like
And how much does Vassar need just to make it work? 100,000.
Everything goes to you.
Yeah, but is it $1 billion?
No.
Yeah, yes, it's far less than that. So if you're gonna put all 3 of these episodes together to kind of tell a story, I would say 90% of the time that's the story we're gonna tell. Let's see if people came up with some more fun, different stuff though. Dieter. Oh, you're with them. Great. Erickson Locker.
America's capitalization on talent within its education system contains struggles to include intellectuals from poor backgrounds because of the lack of financial aid given out over luxuries in colleges, rich colleges receiving more money through donors, and the lack of effort to recruit them at earlier stages. Inclusion of students from poor families could be solved with the redistribution of wealth among the wealthiest colleges.
Redistribution of wealth from the wealthiest colleges to the masses, something like that. In the middle there, just a little wordy. I appreciate what you were trying to do. You're trying to get like specific deets from everyone in there, but you could have broadened it a little bit to kind of let the sentence continue to roll around. But idea-wise, right on the money. Ms. Casperson and Holly.
Well, I just put on it like that he used his podcasts like this, and this to shine light on the corruption in today's schools. And then I did like semicolon, and then I put like examples of very intelligent kids that grow up in poverty, like lose faith in their future at an early age. comma, and then like schools with money spend their extra cash on important factors such as food. And I didn't finish it, but my plan was just to add another.
What's the
part.
problem with the word corruption?
It's making it seem
It's like
like
a-
it's just like one bad apple in the bunch.
Yeah, and how is this different than corruption?
It's like
It's all, there's nothing hidden about it.
It's not
Yeah.
malicious.
Yeah.
It's not malicious.
It's-
And they would, so other like remember from Carlos doesn't remember, there are colleges that would say like, yeah, we're offering free tuition.
Yeah, they feel like they're trying.
So corruption is kind of a dangerous word in that sentence. Over here.
Okay. Well, through Gladwell's Revisionist History podcast, playing, follow the podcast.
Just read it.
He advocates for improvement of the distribution and utilization of funds in addition to the capitalization of talent within the American education system.
Read that one more time.
Okay. Through Gladwell's Revisionist History podcast, he advocates for the improvement of the distribution and utilization of funding in addition to the capitalization of talent within the American education system.
The redistribution of funding in order for America to do a better job of capitalizing. The redistribution of funding fixes the capitalization of talent.
Okay.
Right here.
In Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History three-part series, he describes some problems in America's ever deteriorating education system and how simple their solutions of redistributing resources are to help those who have the intellectual ability but not the financial ability to succeed.
Oh, instead of just read the first part again.
In Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History three-part series, he describes some problems in America's ever deteriorating.
State the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, and instead of saying describe some problems, again, a bunch of different problems are described. But if you can like come up with a broad statement of a problem that would encompass all those smaller ones, then you'd hit the nail on the head. Hammer. Or ham cannon. That's better. That's way better. Ham cannon.
The United States is failing to capitalize on talented, underprivileged youth as a direct result of many colleges around the country focusing on vanity over providing their education to financially supported students, as well as most wealthy citizens donating funds to the richest of colleges. This epidemic could be relatively easy to fix if colleges shift their focus by providing an education to most individuals as possible, and wealthy corporations and citizens begin to donate to colleges in need.
Wow, that was wonderful. Read the last sentence one more time. Class, she says the phrase relatively easy to fix. What would be a more appropriate phrase, and why is relatively easy to fix, kind of like corruption, a bit of a dangerous word in there? Read the last part.
This epidemic could be relatively easy to fix if colleges shift their focus by providing an education to most individuals possible, and wealthy corporations and citizens begin to donate to colleges in need.
So first of all, why is relatively easy to fix a dangerous phrase in there?
Isn't that more like opinion based?
Yeah, because like if there's not like a big problem, because it's not like, because like these big colleges don't feel like they have a problem.
Right. So why is relatively easy to fix then?
Because then that's a problem for
Suggesting
them.
it's an issue.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna work relatively not hard on this.
Right. Okay. So what would be a more appropriate phrase in that part? It's because it's not like it's super complex, right? You just redistribute the money, right? So what do we say that kind of threads that needle? Well, this problem is blankety blank 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 to fix. What would be an appropriate phrase we could put in there? Mad Libs, fill in the blank. What?
Time consuming but simple.
Time consuming but simple. Okay, simple but
Tedious.
tedious. It was bigger than that. Like what's the problem with the fix happening? Rich colleges have to be able to do what?
It's not a big enough
Adapt.
scale. They're kind of doing it. There's not enough of it.
Well, think about the Stanford guy in the last one. Because he explained the problem and then he said, "Hey, Stanford guy, so what would you say if I said I would like to donate 10 million?"
I thought it was.
We could put it-
$100 million.
Yeah, he's like, well, we could be great, responsible characters for the money, right? So that suggests what about these colleges that have all the bucks? Yeah, this is not something this is not an idea that they are going to be open to, because like, who are these other institutions to spend the money? We know we're responsible. You can't just go throwing millions of dollars around to everybody. So it's simple to fix in sort of like philosophy, redistribute the money. But what?
In reality.
Yeah. Socialism.
In reality.
Right. So it's a simple concept, but a Herculean
Yes.
task. There, yeah, something along those lines. There you go. Yeah, English teacher. All right. Last one.
Right. Gladwell examines the poor job America does on capitalizing on poor smart students' talent, because the education system continues to cater to the already wealthy students instead of providing poor students with a quality education. However, there's a way to correct the education system. Redirect money spent on the privileged and instead focus the money on everyone.
Yeah, good job. Nice work. We have 3 minutes left. In those 3 minutes, you worked on this with a partner or group of 3. If you wrote it on a piece of paper that's not your own, take a picture of it and copy it so that you both have access to the wonderful words that you wrote. If you're not happy with what you wrote, although I would say most of you can be, in some measure, all pretty happy with what you wrote. What you need to do now, everyone needs to come back tomorrow. Hey, hold on a second. Everyone needs to come back tomorrow with an original idea. And that original idea needs to come from you as a human being. This is going to be kind of like your first foyer into taking an intellectual risk in this class. Holy moly. You either need to agree or disagree with Gladwell for a specific reason. You can't just say, yeah, everything he said makes sense. Great. Or you can't say, no, Gladwell's a dummy. If you're going to agree with him, you're going to need to bring in something new to the conversation that reflects the precise point that Gladwell is making.
Sure.
So think about the thesis that you just came up with. Many of them have like 2 or 3 parts. So if you're saying that, yeah, Gladwell hits the nail on the head, you need to bring up something else that reflects each of those 3 parts. If you are going to disagree with Gladwell, you can't just say he's dumb because that's socialism, or he's dumb because communism is Russian is wrong. You're going to need, there's no getting around the fact that there is a problem, right? The problem with the capitalization of the poorest people, the most vulnerable people in America. So Gladwell is suggesting this to fix the problem. If you're going to disagree with Gladwell, it can't just be that he's wrong. It's how would you better suggest the problem be fixed, right? Or you have to go about proving in some way, shape, or form that he is wrong and the problem is in fact not a problem. And if you're going to say that, then you're going to need to be able to speak to, okay, this Carlos stuff. Well, so Gladwell presents it this way. What is he missing? So, what I mean by that is, if you say that it's not a problem, people can pull themselves up by their bootstraps. What's wrong with that argument? If considering the story of Carlos,
There's not everyone has to pull themselves up by the bootstraps.
well, and Carlos
Not
tried,
everyone has
right?
those-
So you can either disagree that the problem is a problem, in which case you need to be able to address this, or you can disagree with the solution. Okay, what's the different solution for the same problem? Or you can agree what's going to be the multifaceted illustration that represents what Gladwell's talking about. So take your picture, bring that sentence back tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
So if we do say that we're agreeing, are we basically synthesizing for people?
Kind of, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Sorry.
So yeah, you just got